Part 1 told you the truth that hurt. Nobody is watching you. Nobody is judging you. The spotlight you've been performing under your entire life was never turned on. And for thousands of you, that realization landed like a weight finally lifted. But here's the invisible law. Part 1 didn't reveal. Knowing nobody is coming isn't enough, because most people hear that truth, feel it for 3 days, and go back to waiting. Waiting for the right moment, the right person, the right conditions. And the invisible law underneath that, waiting, is the one that's actually keeping you trapped. Waiting isn't patience. It's a quiet belief that someone else holds the key to your life, and that's good news. Because the moment you see that clearly, you can't unsee it. The moment you stop waiting, something irreversible happens inside you. You stop being manageable. You stop being someone whose entire momentum depends on whether the world shows up for you today. Here are 5 brutal truths about what happens the day you stop waiting and start building. Truth 1. Waiting feels productive. That's exactly what makes it dangerous. You told yourself you were being patient, strategic, waiting for the right conditions before you moved. You had reasons, good ones. You needed more time, more certainty, more clarity about which direction was right. And every day you waited, the waiting felt reasonable, justified, almost wise. But look at what actually happened during that time. Nothing moved, not because the conditions weren't right, because you were using the waiting as protection. If you never fully start, you can never fully fail. And the mind, which is far more interested in keeping you safe than helping you grow, learned to dress that fear up as wisdom. The mind disguises fear as patience and calls it strategy. So you never have to confront what you're actually avoiding. Which means the question was never whether the timing was right. The question was what you were protecting yourself from by deciding it wasn't. Truth 2. The people you were waiting on were waiting on someone else. You were waiting for a mentor to discover you, a person to believe in you, a room to finally recognize what you were worth. You watched others get chosen for opportunities, for attention, for respect, and couldn't understand why it wasn't you. You were just as capable, just as ready. Here's what nobody told you. The people you thought were deciding your future were spending just as much time worrying about their own. Your mentor was waiting for their own breakthrough. The room you wanted recognition from was too busy seeking its own. The person you thought held your future in their hands was holding their own fear with both of theirs. Nobody is withholding your life from you. They simply never had it to give, which means every moment you spent performing for their recognition was a moment spent auditioning for a role that was never being cast. But something even stranger happens when you finally understand this. Truth 3. Self-rescue doesn't feel heroic. It feels lonely. And that's how you know it's real. Here's what the transformation videos don't show you. Here's what every highlight reel skips entirely. The actual moment of self-rescue doesn't feel powerful. It feels quiet, slightly terrifying, like standing at the edge of something with no guarantee on the other side. Nobody applauds it. Nobody witnesses it. You make a decision alone to stop waiting, to take one step without knowing if it leads anywhere. And the world doesn't respond. Nothing shifts dramatically, but something shifts inside. Imagine building something, not to show anyone, not to prove anything, not to finally make someone see what you were worth, just because it mattered to you. Imagine moving through your day without once checking whether anyone noticed, without once adjusting your direction based on whether the room approved. That isn't confidence, that's freedom. And it feels nothing like what you expected. because it's quieter, steadier, more yours than anything the spotlight ever gave you. Because the version of you that moved without an audience is fundamentally different from the version that needed one. That person cannot be manipulated through the fear of being unseen, because they already proved to themselves they can move in the dark. Real self-rescue happens in private, and the power it builds is invisible to everyone, except the people who later try to control you and find there's nothing left to hold. This is where most people get it completely wrong. They wait for the feeling of readiness before they move. But readiness doesn't precede the step. It's created by it. Truth 4. The moment you stopped waiting, you stopped being predictable. And that changed everything. Here's the invisible law nobody talks about. When you were waiting, you were readable. Everyone around you could predict your next move, because people who are waiting always make the same moves. They reach out when they need something. They perform when they want to be noticed. They shrink when they feel overlooked. You were operating on a pattern so consistent that the people around you stopped registering you as someone who could surprise them. And then, you stopped waiting. Not dramatically, not with an announcement. You simply started moving. Without asking permission, without monitoring reactions, without adjusting your pace to match anyone else's approval. And something strange happened. The same people who had become comfortable ignoring you suddenly became uncertain about you, because you were no longer following the script they had written for you in their heads. The moment you become unpredictable, you become impossible to manage, and the world is forced to pay attention to someone it thought it had already figured out. This isn't about making people chase you. It's about something more fundamental. The world only began responding to you differently after it realized you were no longer waiting for it to respond at all. Truth 5. The dangerous version of you was never something you had to become. It was what remained after you stopped waiting. Part 1 ended with this truth. Nobody caring about you isn't the tragedy you thought it was. It's freedom. Here is Part 2's truth. That freedom isn't a feeling that arrives and stays. It's a decision you make daily. You don't reach dangerous and remain there automatically. You choose it every morning. You decide, again, to build without permission, to move without recognition, to do the work whether anyone notices or not. Imagine waking up and the first thought isn't, will anyone see this today? Imagine finishing something and not reaching for your phone to share it. Imagine the work being enough on its own for you, regardless of who acknowledges it. That isn't arrogance. That isn't coldness. That is the rarest form of freedom most people spend their entire lives one decision away from and never reach. Dangerous isn't a destination. It's a practice, repeated until waiting becomes so foreign you can barely remember what you were holding out for. The person who stops waiting doesn't become cold. They become complete. And complete people don't need to be saved, don't need to be chosen, don't need the room to confirm what they've already decided about themselves. They simply build, quietly, consistently, without asking anyone's permission. And one day, not dramatically, not all at once, the people around them realize they are in the presence of someone forged entirely by their own hand. That is the most dangerous thing a person can become. In our next video, we go even deeper into the invisible mechanism behind self-rescue. Why most people know they need to move, but still can't. And the one psychological shift that separates the people who build from the people who keep preparing to. That's the self-rescue rule. Why waiting for help is your greatest weakness. You won't want to miss it.